thank you for being here. And I have my wingman here that many of you know that I couldn't function and do as I think as well as we've been able to do without Jimmy Riston. So thank you, Jimmy, for your long service to our state, but also to this organization. But the breadth and depth of his knowledge is just irreplaceable. So thank you for everything that you've done. I'm feeling pretty good this morning, I think, in terms of where we are in terms of the IIJA, the implementation, and some of the things that you're working on a daily basis to make sure that you implement the intent that we had at committee level and also at the larger level that we negotiated with the Biden administration. I want to thank Jim Timon, too. We were actually on the old infrastructure committees on the House for a while, so we've known each other a long time. So I want to first express my appreciation to all of you. I know it's hard to figure out sometimes how the sausage gets made up here when you see on the ground the way certain rules and regulations go forward, some of them making a lot of sense, some of them making no sense. But I think the bottom line here for what we've been able to do and working with Shaylin Batt, who I think is going to be a very good highway administrator. There he is in the back. Thank you very much, Shaylin, for what you're doing. Is to keep that, and I think because he's a member of this group and knows many, many of you, and you probably have him on speed dial at the same time, is to keep the flexibilities of the 50 states. I mean, building and maintaining highways in West Virginia is a lot different than Kansas or Florida or Washington State. And the needs and the desires of a governor or the legislature in your states are different all across the country. And so you have to be able to weave those differences, and we have to give you the flexibility to be able to do that. As long as you're within the, as you would say, guardrails, as long as you're within the guardrails, give enough berm over there so that you can make those decisions and make them in the best interests of the folks that you represent. So thank you for that. We are very proud. I'm very proud that I voted for the IIJA. I started the negotiations, as you know, and I think I told you every time I've seen you with the president back in several years ago. I knew that there was a sweet spot for bipartisan negotiation here because traditionally and for the long term, infrastructure is something that we're all passionate about, that we all have needs for, as long as we have the kind of flexibility and the forward-thinking vision that I think the IIJA presented. I know Senator Carper, who's the chair of our EPW committee, is coming in after me, and he and I were able to do something that I think was pretty miraculous, and that is to negotiate the basis of this bill in terms of surface transportation. We got a 20-0 vote out of our committee. That is Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma on the right and Bernie Sanders on the left, or he may be even beyond left. And we were able to really meet those challenges. And I think that tells you it can be done, it should be done, and that's really the way to be successful. So I'm going to go a little off script here. We're looking at permitting a lot. I know you have a lot of permitting and a lot of permitting challenges, right? I won't mention any agencies, but I have a few in mind. And it's been made difficult in some instances. So we're looking not so much in the road space because I'll talk about that a little bit later, but in the energy and other grid and all that resiliency, things that we need to be able to power this country electrically more. We need permitting reform or we're never going to get these daggone things done. It makes sense on both sides of the political spectrum. I personally have a lot of natural gas and coal. I want my natural gas moving underground in a pipeline. You look at the derailment up in Ohio. If that had been in a pipeline, we might have a different story here. We would have a different story. And so I think there's ways to do that. And so we are looking at at permitting reform in our committee, and they are over on the Energy Committee. But the only way we're going to get it done, it's going to be a negotiated project, is if we do it through the committee and we have the buy-in of both parties within the committee structure so that we know that we've all had a chance to weigh in, we've all had our opinions heard, and we can move forward with that. This bill obviously has the IIJA has a huge increases in highway construction. One of the things I'm passionate about because of the situation in our state is the bridge construction money. We were just talking about the bridge on I-64. I drove by. I mean, this guy's flying on that thing. It is, and it's a major thoroughfare between our two major really going east to west from Huntington into Charleston and on beyond. They're in the process now of taking the old bridge down and rebuilding another one. But it's been a miracle how fast it's gone. But the bridge dollars are very important to me. We also created a rural infrastructure, rural transportation issue. Sometimes I feel like rural gets left out. We're not considered in the same buckets. Our projects may not be as large or as big to be able to get some of these larger grant dollars. So let's put a focus on rural roads because we know safety is critical. Safety is in the top of mind of everything that you do every day. And in order to be safe on the rural roads, we have to make the special considerations that the rural roads have. So we have that grant availability for rural dollars. That was something that my staff and I put together with a mind towards our state, but also many similar states. So please take a look at that. One of the things that I'm excited about in this bill is the project delivery piece, the one federal decision. And I want to thank, first of all, I'll thank Shaylin again because, as you know, the memo that came out over a year ago with the guidance in it that caused a lot of stir-up in this group and across the country as to what does this really mean, who's going to put the foot on the scale for what kind of projects, and how are we going to be able to negotiate this. I was very adamant and very vocal saying, look, we negotiated a lot of these things out of the bill so we could get that bipartisan buy-in. We wanted to preserve the flexibility. And so I thank Shaylin again for superseding that memo, for rewriting it, emphasizing certain things that are in the bill, that are in the law, in particular the one federal decision piece. Here's the key with the one federal decision piece. We got to get it going, moving. It can't just sound good. It's got to be good. And so I think there again, that will help with not just making sure our dollars go as far as possible in the efficient spend of our dollars, but it will also move these projects along because, you know, we're a year into this now, and as you know, you've got big projects that take a long time to do. You can't just make them up in 6 months and say that's what you're going to do. You have a lot of other issues that need to go forward. And I will say this about one federal decision. If one federal decision is successful, I think it can be a model for a lot of other projects and like permitting, like energy permitting. We used it in my permitting bill to use it as an example, or not actually an example, as the way we should be able to move forward through all kinds of permitting to make sure that we have buy-in from all the agencies and everybody's got a seat at the table, but we have that one federal decision moving. So we're looking forward to that and to seeing that we actually are enacting that the way it was intended by and negotiated by the Congress. So we've got a lot of going on, I think. Our committee is busy. We work very well together. I'm sure Senator Carper will back me up on that. We speak every week. We have a long conversation. We talk about, like, he'll tell you he's born in Beckley. So, are you born in Beckley? Yeah. Yep, there we go. He was born in Beckley too, which is just a little bit north of Bluefield. So we're all in this together, and we're able to try to really accomplish things as opposed to just do oversight or do chatter or throw grenades at one another. We actually want to see ourselves get things done. So not only did we do the highway bill, we did the water bill, we did a WRDA bill, which is a water resource bill, which is our Corps of Engineer projects. We are working on recycling because it's important in your business, it's important for the country, it's important for the next generation, I think, to put a great emphasis on recycling. So we're looking at those kinds of possibilities for where we can meet and other things. We're actually having a hearing next week on the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. It's 12 miles from our state, but it also impacts greatly the Ohio River, which is a lot of the source of our water in West Virginia and the surrounding states. So we have a great relationship. I have a good relationship with Sam Graves. We actually came in together in 2000. So I guess we're old timers now. But so Sam and I are working hard. So you're going to see a lot of of us messaging the same, but also trying to work out our differences so we can actually get things across the finish line into the president's desk. So I am very appreciative for everything that you do. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to address you. I appreciate, where's the rest of the West Virginia contingency here? They better be awake. Oh, there they are, over there. I didn't even see. Hi, guys. They're coming to see me later today. And I would like to say that it is so important what you're doing, coming to Washington and talking to your representatives, the House, the Senate. If it's just the staff, whoever you're talking to, hopefully it's your member. But unless we hear, and we have a very close relationship with the team over at West Virginia DOT. If we didn't, we wouldn't know how these impacts of small things, big things, medium-sized things are, and also to help out some of the wrinkles when you get stuck. And so everybody gets stuck at some point, I would imagine, unless you're a magician or somebody who can pull a rabbit out of a hat every time. I don't think you can do it every time. And so you need help. So the relationships that you're building here in Washington by coming to visit, by talking about the impacts of this bill, by talking about things that you want to see move forward are exceedingly important. And so I appreciate the time you're taking. It looks like a beautiful day here in Washington, D.C. Hope you enjoy it. See you on the Hill. Thank you.